Good morning, Bethel Baptist Church, and welcome back to another day of the Daily Thoughts, week 12, I think, now, and we are on we're going to be looking at chapter 23 today, so we are about 5 chapters away from finishing the book, which I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks we would have finished the whole book of Acts, which is great, and there's been so much stuff going on within these chapters. This is not a boring book. I guess none of the books in the Bible are boring, but there's just so much action in this book. I think there's a film, or there's a series about the Acts church, but it's only the first couple of chapters it looks at. I think it's on Netflix, so if you haven't watched that, then watch it, because I think it's good. I think I might watch it as well, because it'd be great to see these situations and these stories happening in action. I hope when we go to heaven we're able to sort of see these things happen, so like they've been recorded somehow and we're able to watch these back, because I think some of it would be like awesome to watch. I'm going to read today from the end of chapter 22, the last verse, so 22 verse 30, and then carry on all the way to chapter 23 verse 11. So a bit of context behind this is that Paul was taken to prison for teaching and preaching the gospel, which obviously back then wasn't really allowed to be done. People died because of it. People really suffered because they were sharing the gospel, and Paul was no different. Once he had that conversion back in Acts 9, his life was transformed and changed forever, and he went out and wanted to preach the gospel, knowing full well the consequences of preaching that gospel. So we are at Paul in prison, and he's standing before the Sanhedrin, and then I'm going to carry on from there. So verse 30, chapter 22, it says, "The commander wanted to find out exactly why Paul was being accused by the Jews. So the next day he released him and ordered the chief priests and all the members of the Sanhedrin to assemble. Then he brought Paul and set him before them. Paul looked straight at the Sanhedrin and said, 'My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day.' At this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, 'God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there to judge me according to the law, yet you yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck.' Those who were standing near Paul said, 'How dare you insult God's high priest?' Paul replied, 'Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.' Then Paul, knowing that some of them were Sadducees and the others Pharisees, called out in the Sanhedrin, 'My brothers, I am a Pharisee, descended from Pharisees. I stand on trial because of the hope of the resurrection of the dead.'" Now this was going to cause a stir, because the Sadducees and the Pharisees had different opinions as to whether the resurrection really happened, and Paul knew this. Let's carry on from verse 7. "When he said this, a dispute broke out between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. The Sadducees say there is no resurrection, and that they are neither angels nor spirits, but the Pharisees believe all these things. There was a great uproar, and some of the teachers of the law who were Pharisees stood up and argued vigorously. 'We find nothing wrong with this man,' they said. 'What if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him?' The dispute became so violent that the commander was afraid Paul would be torn to pieces by them. He ordered the troops to go down and take him away from them by force and bring him into the barracks. The following night the Lord stood near Paul and said, 'Take courage, as you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify in Rome.'" What a great story that is. Paul sort of on trial, and the trial hasn't finished. You'll see that they're plotting to kill Paul, and then Paul's trial comes in the next chapter. But we sort of see that Paul gets it away this time. He sort of created a division between the Pharisees and Sadducees. He knew that there was something that was going to cause them to split, and that was talking about the resurrection, because some of them believed in the resurrection and others didn't believe in the resurrection. I think Paul was a bit of a comedian as well. There's some things in that made me chuckle a bit when he says something to the high priest, and then they say, "Oh, but you can't say anything to him because he's the high priest," and Paul's sort of saying sorry. Whether he truly means that or not is up for debate. But yeah, I think it'd be really funny. I'd love to spend some time with Paul. There's a few things I want to pick up from Acts 20:23. The first one is at the start of 23, and Paul says to the Sanhedrin, "My brothers, I have fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day." It didn't matter whether, the people believed he was doing the right thing or not. It didn't matter that he was being punished for doing something. He knew in his mind that he was doing the right thing in God's eyes. His conscience with God was clear. And that's a challenge for us today. Do we want to be people that please God or people that please other people? And Paul was doing that. He was pleasing God, even if it didn't look right in the society that he was currently in. And that's sometimes what we got to do. We've got to go against culture. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. Why? Because this world is sinful. So when we talk about conscience, we should always be thinking about our conscience with God, not conscience with people. And then right at the end of what I read, verse 11, the Lord stood near Paul. So in Paul's time of trouble, God was there. The Lord was with him in his time of trouble. But it wasn't just a well done, even though we would have thought that Paul was doing a great job. But he had more planned for Paul. And he says to him, "Take courage, as you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so you must also testify in Rome." If I was Paul right now, I don't know what I would be thinking in that situation. Now, Paul was preaching in Jerusalem, and because of that reason, he was sent to prison. Now, God meets Paul and says to him, "Take courage. What you've done in Jerusalem, I need you to go and do that in Rome." Knowing full well that the same thing could happen in Rome. But God trusted Paul. And God knew that Paul trusted God. Even if Paul was going to die in Rome, he was going to do that because he trusted God, and God sees the bigger picture. So when Paul sort of is with God in that moment, he doesn't think about the past and the fact that he was in prison, or he is still in prison. But he thinks about the future and what the future holds for him. And that's eternal life forever with God. So he knew that he had to take people with him. And by doing that, it meant preaching the gospel in places that didn't want to know about the gospel. And that was Paul's role. That's what he wanted to do. When Paul had a radical transformation in Acts 9, his life was transformed forever. And I hope that was the same for you. That when you met God for the first time, when you asked Jesus into your heart, your life was transformed forever. And I hope you never stop talking about that. I hope you always share the gospel. I hope you always share your testimony, because your testimony is powerful. And I just believe that we're on this earth to do that, to share the gospel, to reach the lost, to reach people. And if you are still on earth, that you have a role to play. You still have a role to play in God's kingdom. And when this life is over, we will spend eternity with Jesus. What a privilege that is. So let's do the work now, guys. I hope that's blessed you. I hope that's encouraged you. Paul is such a great man of God, and I can't wait to meet him. I hope we're able to watch that story of Acts as well in real life. That's going to be a great day if we're able to do that with some popcorn or something like that. Have a great day, guys. I might see you tomorrow. I'm preaching in Wednesday in the Word, Nehemiah chapters 2 and 3. So we're going to be taking a look at them. So have a great day, guys, and I hope to see you all.